I know what you're thinking. This guy is a troll. And you're right, but that's not what today's video is about. I think I already explained a bunch of times in my previous videos, as well as in the comment sections of a lot of my videos, that I got to use a Switch 2 for 1 hour. In the video specifically, I said that it belonged to a friend's and I got to use it for 1 hour on launch night. That is still true. I have not used it since launch night. Anybody that assumes that I bought the Switch 2 is going to assume that I bought the Switch 2. There's really nothing I can say at this point, but I want to clarify that in the first 30 seconds because a lot of people turn on my videos and they just like immediately comment something, and just like they're going to comment on this one and be like, oh, look who's talking, Mr. Grifter. And yeah, we'll move on from there. I'm still completely delusionally on board that Nintendo is somehow going to make the Switch 2 better for us, whether it's by dropping the price or having some bundles or capping off the price of some games or something. And because of how stubborn I am going to wait to buy that Switch 2 once it's made available. Or, if Donkey Kong Bonanza ends up being phenomenal, I might buy one used, like I've been saying for 2 months. And to be clear, 2 months ago when I started speaking ill about Nintendo, I was coming off of a high of having successful Mario video after Mario video for a solid 4 months daily. When I started criticizing the Switch 2, I had one video go viral and then I lost over 1,000 subs. And then for the next 2 or 3 videos, when I continued to speak negatively because I was speaking what was on my mind about my thoughts of Nintendo following the Switch 2 Direct, I would start most of those videos off by apologizing. And in the comment sections, I would be apologizing. And until now, when somebody comments in my videos saying your channel is not what it used to be, even if they're being very insulting to me, I usually apologize to them. Unless they're like really being rude, then I might reply something sarcastic. And that's because I genuinely feel bad. They were expecting a certain type of video from Nintendine, and then all of a sudden Nintendine switched the type of content he was putting out. But at the end of the day, I gotta talk about what's important to me. I took a massive risk on my channel by starting to speak negatively on Nintendo. And right now, I think most of my subscribers are waiting for me to buy a Steam Deck. And I'm taking another massive risk because I still haven't bought a Steam Deck, and it's not really on my radar at the moment. Like, it's like on the back of my mind maybe one day, but I'm not gonna do it for the channel. That's just not really what I'm about. Like, to an extent, I'm willing to cover what people want to hear, and a lot of people want to hear about the stuff that Nintendo's doing, and that's why I'm talking about it. But I have to want to talk about it. I have to want to do it. So I'm not going to be a Nintendo guy and go against the company that most of my fans were fans of just because other people want to hear it. I'm going to speak out against them because it's something that I truly feel strongly about. But I understand why that would be very hard for people to fully grasp. Because at the end of the day, YouTube is full of grifters. YouTube is full of rage baiters. And YouTube is full of people that are not genuine. Let's just be real. That's how the internet works. And you're gonna see it now. You're gonna see them holding the Switch 2 in their hand, doing an unboxing. They're gonna have spent like the last 5-6 months talking about how crappy Nintendo is. And now they're gonna release 2 or 3 videos a day reviewing games that they're playing in their hands with their own footage. And it's because they know you're going to click on it and you're going to listen to what they're doing. These people are not heroes. They're not martyrs. They're not spending their money so that you don't have to. That's not how this works. They are spending their money because they know it's going to make them money. This is their livelihood. Do you respect the hustle? Maybe. I respect the hustle. But I'm also fully aware of what they are doing. These people that already have massive channels, like, keep in mind, look at my subscriber count. What am I? I'm not even at 20K. I don't know how much money you guys think I make off of this, but it's not enough to cover a fraction of my bills. I've been rejecting sponsorships for Switch 2 accessories left and right because I refuse to fold and review an accessory for a console that I have been vehemently against. It's just not what I am here for. And the ironic thing is, I'm seeing a lot of the YouTubers that my name is being associated next to at this very moment. People are saying, yeah, they all said they weren't going to buy the Switch 2, but this guy and Nintendine, they all sold out. I'm seeing those other YouTubers are advertising those same accessories that I got offered, because this is what they do. This is their hustle. This is their livelihood. They speak ill when it's time to speak ill, and they will speak positively when it's time to speak positively. And they will do whichever one is needed to be done in order for them to achieve their goal. My goal, however, is a pushback against Nintendo. Now, I said I respect the hustle. I said that I understand that they have to pay their bills. But I also think they're very problematic. And they're problematic in the same way that toxic, positive people are problematic. The pro-Nintendo YouTubers, the most popular ones. The ones that I still like and still watch a lot to this day, because, again, I'm a Nintendo fan. I watch Nintendo YouTubers. That's what I do for fun. I scroll through Nintendo subreddits. My life is Nintendo. I'm Nintendine. So naturally, these are the circles that I follow. I follow Nintendo Life. I really enjoy Alex from Nintendo Life. I've been watching him for years. Good Vibes Gaming. I follow that a lot. Ironically, I used to follow Arlo a lot more, but I stopped following him because he was negative all the time, which is funny because now everybody's saying he's all positive because he's pro Nintendo, and I don't watch him as much anymore, but he seems like he's fine. Like, I got no issues with his content for the most part. But for all of these channels, I understand when they review something, when they speak about something, especially if it's something that just came out, that they know the crowd they're speaking to. They know to what extent they can criticize something, and they know when something needs to be blown out of proportion in a good way, like they need to over-exaggerate the positives. And I understand that when I watch their content, when they speak really highly of something, or they sweep something that's massive under the rug. I realize why they're doing that, and that's why a lot of times I take their opinions with a grain of salt, or I try to read between the lines. And I will just put this right out there for you. Any YouTuber that has been speaking ill of the Nintendo Switch 2 over the past 2 months, and is currently holding a Nintendo Switch 2 in their hand and reviewing it for you, you cannot take their opinion seriously. And they all go one of two ways. Either they're going to bash the ever-living hell out of that console because they want to continue on with the rage because the rage has been doing good for them, or now they got to be smart. They invested in this console. They need reviews for the games. They need reviews for the product. They might have some sponsorships coming up, and they want to be the go-to person that people watch when they want to buy a specific game and they need an opinion on it. So now all of a sudden, they got to kind of shift gears. People are going to be looking for a review of any particular first-party or third-party title, so they're going to watch their videos. And they're going to swing through the topics because they need to chase the money. They need to chase the clicks. These people and the positive Nintendo channels that I met earlier are two sides of the same coin. And both of them can provide with genuinely good opinions. I'm not saying they can't. But I think it's important for a lot of people to understand the difference between a YouTuber that's making content for the sake of the views and one that is making content for the sake of what they believe in making content in, for their passion. There's a very clear reason why I generally tend to avoid buying games when they first come out, because I don't like reviews from reviewers. I like retrospectives a lot. Actually, retrospectives are a big reason why I go back and play retro games, because somebody speaks about a game that came out 10, 15, 20 years ago, and all of a sudden I'm like, I gotta give this a shot, this sounds phenomenal. And it's because when they get into these games and you hear them speak about it with actual passion and not just speaking about it because it just came out and people need to click on something, it makes it all the more appealing for me. But there's an even greater issue, I think. And buckle up because we're gonna go pretty deep on this one. It's very important to me to separate myself from these people that are being labeled as grifters. And it has very little to do with what people think about me. It has more to do with how much of a detriment it is to the actual cause. Because what happens is when you go onto these online forums and you go onto these comment sections and someone genuinely believes in the cause, the pro-customer cause, they point to things that I or somebody else may have said. And that person is relying on our arguments. I've seen my name pop up all over the internet over the past 2 months, obviously in like small Nintendo circles, but you know, it's been popping up. That's never happened to me before. And the comments always say the same thing. Yeah, he's the same as XYZ YouTuber. And then when I go and look up who these YouTubers are, I'm like, okay, if people think this is what I'm doing, then I'm doing something wrong. I'm not conveying the message well enough. So now, whether it's me or whether it's another YouTuber that's spoken up strongly against the Nintendo Switch, but is clearly not doing it either for the rage or for the clicks, when our fight, our message, our cause gets mixed up with these people, it pollutes the entire message. Now there can't be a true fight against Nintendo's anti-customer practices. Instead, they're all just doing it for the rage, for the clicks, for the money. And if it turns out that I'm making the same argument that one of these more prominent YouTubers that kind of sold out are making, all of a sudden my argument loses value. My cause loses value. Our cause loses value. So even if they've been helping along on this fight against Nintendo's anti-customer practices, the lack of being genuine overall is a detriment to what they are saying, to what our outcome is meant to look like. Because if these people online actually don't believe in the cause, then all of the viewers and all of the listeners Slowly, they're just kind of like, well, there's no point in boycotting anything. I might as well just buy the Switch 2. I'll give you a real life example. You guys are all familiar with whataboutisms. I don't remember which documentary it was, but it was talking about how much of a stranglehold the sugar industry has on the United States. And I think most people that are at certain levels of education already understand how bad it is in the United States when it comes to the sugar. So I remember I was discussing some of the dirty practices in that industry specifically with one of my friends, and he told me I sounded like a flat earther, basically implying that I'm just like making up a whole conspiracy in my mind and it's like a whole government thing and doesn't make any sense. And it made me realize something. The whole idea of flat earthers kind of ruined any semblance of a true theory against something that the government is clearly doing. It gave a lot of people a trump card, pun, I guess, kind of intended. Like, you go after the lobbyists of any type of industry and say that it's clear that these lobbyists are affecting people's opinions on certain subjects. And then now that person can pull that card out of their pocket and be like, you sound like a flat earther. And it washes away the discussion. It's the same idea here, except instead of flat earther, it's grifter. Like, yeah, of course you believe that this company is anti-customer because that guy over there is doing it too, even though he bought the product and now he's reviewing it 5 times a day. It just pollutes the entire discussion. And I hope that makes sense. I don't want to tell you guys who you should and shouldn't subscribe to, but I'll tell you this from one pro-customer person to another. If there's a YouTuber that you are watching that spoke negatively about the Switch 2 excessively, I'm not saying the ones that just say like, oh, there's like 1 or 2 problems here and there. I'm saying like they excessively made it part of their image for the past couple of months. And now they have a Switch 2 in their hands. They're making reviews of the entire console inside out. They're talking about the Joy-Cons every single day. They're talking about the accessories every single day. They're talking about different games. I would actually recommend not watching those. Or, watch them but understand what they're doing. The same way you would watch a Nintendo channel and realize that they're speaking highly about a new Nintendo console because it's good for them. Understand that you're watching these guys and they're speaking about this thing just because it's better for them. Because that's the sign that they're trying to make, is that they're doing this for the sake of the subscriber, for the clicks. I mentioned a few videos ago that my friend has offered me a Switch 2 to use for reviews as much as I would like. But I don't want to do that because I don't want to advertise anything in a positive light for Nintendo. And I know that I won't give it a negative review because I'm a Nintendo guy. If I play Mario Kart, I'm going to enjoy Mario Kart. When I did my hands-on impression because I played the thing for like 45 minutes or whatever it was, that whole video was pretty neutral. I highlighted the positives and I highlighted the negatives. And a lot of the negatives were mostly the price of the console or the lack of other options to play aside from Mario Kart. Also, I didn't mention this last time, but I think the battery is a lot worse than Nintendo is saying that it is. Obviously, I don't have enough hands-on experience with it, but I remember it was just dropping really quickly even when we're just on the home screen. But I mean, that's also like the problem with buying immediately, right? If you just wait a bit, people will have reviews of it and you'll know if these things are as they are. Whereas right now, everybody's kind of learning all this stuff at the same time together. And finally, here's the last point that I think is worth bringing up. If the next move for these YouTubers is an apology to the fans because they decided to buy the Switch 2, like they bought it and didn't realize everybody was going to be mad, and then now people are being mad about that, that's part of the BS. Don't buy it. Don't even click on that video. Actually, let me just put this up front. If I ever post a video and the thumbnail is me looking into the camera with a caption that reads, "I'm sorry," that's the day that you unsubscribe. That's the day that you stop watching my stuff. Because that will be the day where I am using human feelings and sincerity to be disingenuous. And at that point, I do not deserve a view. I do not deserve a subscriber. I don't deserve a moment of your time. The apology videos are worse clickbait than anything else. Worse grifting than anything else. There is no clearer sign of someone not being genuine than a video like that. Not because apologies are bad, but the "I'm sorry" and looking into the camera thumbnail or the like, "we need to talk" look, that's like, come on, don't fall for that kind of stuff. Either way, look, I am not a big YouTuber. I've actually only recently started referring to myself as a YouTuber. I used to fight against it, be like, no, I'm not a YouTuber, I just upload videos on YouTube. But now more and more people are saying YouTuber by my name, so I'm like, fine, I'll just steer into it. But the point is that I am not big, I am not famous, I am not rich. I am not doing this as a livelihood. This is a hobby. The reason I engage as much as I do in the comment sections is because this is my hobby. The reason I upload as much as I do is because this is my hobby, and I will continue to do it as long as I enjoy it. And of course, as long as you guys enjoy it as well. I'm still here for the cause. And this is my plea to any of you that bought the Switch 2 already and feel like you have buyer's remorse. There's probably a return window from where you bought it from. If you feel dirty because you bought the Switch 2, know that that feeling is not going to pass, and you're always going to feel dirty about it. There's still a return window, and it's worth returning your Switch 2, and it does help the cause. Otherwise, for those of you that bought the Switch 2 and love it, I'm happy for you, and I've been saying I've been happy for you for 2 months. You know, I'm glad for anybody that buys a console and enjoys it. But yeah, I think that's enough for one day. I've had a busy Friday. I thought I'd be uploading more, but just life sometimes gets in the way, so maybe tomorrow, the day after, you never know. I'm sure there will be more and more news stories to cover, like the fact that articles online are using Nintendo Prime as a source of how they know that the Switch 2 is selling very well. Seriously, this is like a big one. There's one on the front page of Reddit saying that the Nintendo Switch has sold a certain number of units, and it's selling faster than anything else, and their source was prominent Nintendo YouTuber Nintendo Prime has insiders telling him that it's outselling any console before that. That might be a good topic for tomorrow. We'll see. Thank you for listening, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.